Please help me welcome Jan Smith.
So I come from the discipline of being heavily classically trained and then taking a hard right turn and doing rock and roll most of my life. I cut my first record when I was 15 years old, and then from there fell into, and I literally mean fell into, instructing other people. I say by accident, but God knows that's not the truth. So I've been doing this for 30 years now. I'll be 60 years old in August. You can say happy birthday later. So to his point, being able to maintain your voice and everything in it has to do with the entire instrument, the whole functioning, and your health. What I'm going to do in about the next 20 minutes or so is to try and walk you through what I call a kind of a bullet point, warm up and cool down, because most vocal athletes know so little about that. And it's not that any one exercise is all-inclusive. Most of the things that are on the internet are very classic, and if I don't know where you come from, but for me, it bores the crap out of me, and I don't really want to do it. So getting things that work, that people can do, that puts it in place for you to where you're actually going to do something that protects the instrument is what I'm all about, okay? The first thing I'm going to ask everybody to do is put all your junk down, stand up, and make sure you got arms length between each other. Yeah. And so what we're going to do, make sure you got arms length between each other. And I'm going to time us. And if you really, I don't want to have anybody fall out here, okay? So we're going to do jumping jacks, right? Everybody ready? So you have 1 minute. If you can't make it, stop short. Here we go. And 1 minute, go. So that's 20 seconds. That's 39 seconds. How's everybody doing? Great. And you can stop. That's 1 minute. For tour prep, I make sure that my people can do 8 to 10 a day. 8 to 10 minutes a day. Have a seat. Every day. So the first thing that I tell people to do on any kind of warm-up is some type of aerobic activity. Now, aerobic activity, jumping jacks are really good because jumping jacks is one of the few exercises that actually does something really unique to the body. It uses both chambers of the heart equally at the same time. There are very few exercises that will do that, that helps to increase your oxygenation, your blood flow, and the heart strength and your lung strength, okay? Now, I'm not asking you to do 8 to 10 minutes every time you're doing a warm-up, but what I will tell you, just an easy formula, is to get your threshold. Now, most everybody made it for a minute today. On average, people can make it between 1 and 3 minutes, and I'm talking about even long-distance runners and people who work out often. It is hard as dookie to do 8 or to 10 minutes worth of jumping jacks, okay? So what you want to do is set your own threshold on your stopwatch feature on your iPhone, and whatever that is, if it's a minute, if it's 2.5 minutes, if it's 5 minutes, fine. Do that for 14 days straight. God took a day off, so can you. 6 out of 7 days is what I ask you for, okay? So you can do your own thing for 14 days, and at the end of that 14 days, increase by 30 seconds. And do that for 14 days. Because what you're doing is you're taking time to allow the body to grow with you. You don't want to rush the process. And to the good doctor's point, you know, as athletes, if I'm LeBron James and I pull an ACL, what are we going to do with me for the season? We're going to bench me for the entire season, right? We're going to bench me for the entire season. Singers, what do we do? What do we do? We keep going. I can push through. And the worst thing in the world is having a producer on the other side of the glass that goes, oh, come on, we can do this. That, in and of itself, is irresponsibility, and it's on you because you don't know better, okay? As a singer, when somebody's pushing you and you have a torn ACL or you've got a problem going on, or you're hoarse, you should say, I need to take a break. I got to stop. Because most producers, and they may be great, and they may be great track makers, they don't know squat about your voice. And if your voice goes down, trust me, there's going to be somebody younger, sings higher notes, prettier than you are, faster than you are, better than you are, that they're going to stick in the booth and cut the next song. So I would suggest that if your voice goes down, who's going to suffer from that? That's exactly right. So learn what your limits are, learn where the physiological limits are, and don't be stupid. Nobody loves stupid, okay? So going back to your warm-ups then, okay, the first thing, some type of aerobic activity, about 1 to 2 minutes worth of that, okay? 1 to 2 minutes worth will get us at least sort of kind of blood pumping, and we've got the oxygen going through the system, okay? If you take into account how long does it take your voice to wake up in the morning, like everybody has sleepy time voice, it usually takes how long? Anywhere from, okay, wow, if it takes an hour, God bless you. Drink a lot more water or whatever. But between 17 to 35 minutes. So if you're really kind to your voice and you really want to do the right thing, if you're doing less than 15 minutes worth of warm-ups, you're peeing in the wind. It doesn't even matter, okay? I usually tell people between 17 and 25. And it really depends on your physiology. We are not made, well, I'm sorry, we're created the same, but in the confines of that, there's a lot of physiological differences, genealogical differences. There's all kind of hereditary things going on in addition to the environments that we're in, okay? So make sure that you know your body and your instrument and then treat it accordingly. But if you're doing less than, I'm going to say 17 minutes, okay? So the number 2, we're going to wake up your throat. And this does not mean that you're going to sing through your songs on the way to the studio or on the way to the gig. Why would you do that? No professional athlete runs through their entire routine before they run the race or do their event. Singers do it all the time. Oh, let's do a sound check. Let's run through the whole set. Why would you do that? Total stupidity. Same thing going to the recording studio. If you're doing that, you're wasting vocal energy and the stuff that you're going to need while you're in the booth or on stage, okay? So waking up your throat, first thing, everybody sit up straight, uncross your legs, and put your hand on your navel. Your shoulders don't have anything to do with breathing, so when you take a breath, they shouldn't go up like this next to your ears. Take a deep breath. Where your hand is on your navel should not be sinking in. It should not sink in. It should stay stationary, and you should feel what I call the lock and load, that little tiny pressure that comes in underneath your hand as you run further out of air. This is called compressive style breathing, 101. The hissing sound is a very natural way to acquire that, because we all know how to do that. Pss, pss, pss. Got it? Single, easy airstream, not that kind of thing. Got it? Okay. Second thing. I'm trying to write as neat as I can, y'all. I apologize. Anyway. So here we go. A buzzing tone. Put your hand back on your navel. Take a deep breath. Kind of like I don't really even want to hear you a whole lot. Airflow. Pay attention. Like a dental drill. Got it? Same thing should be happening here, the same type of compressive style breathing as you're doing kind of a buzzing tone, all right? Third thing, and I'm going to put an extra special star by this one because some of you are going to have problems with it. These are called lip trills in classical endeavors. We call it the motorboat sound in rock and roll and R&B and other forms of contemporary music. Anybody have trouble doing that? Okay. So hang on a second. Let's also talk about volume. There is nothing that says warming up should be loud, ever. Okay? The doctor was talking about we start like a well-primed high-end race car. You start easy and then accelerate. So think about the same thing as it relates to volume when you're warming up. And also, there shouldn't be a lot of not a lot of air coming out, okay? Got it? It's not about airflow, not about how much air is coming out. So don't dump fuel when you're doing this, okay? If you have issues with this, I'll talk to you later. To me, my description of that is it has to do with compression or lack thereof, okay? Everybody, real quick, put your hand in front of your mouth and blow hot air on your hand. So do the same thing again and kind of pay attention to how all that leaves really quickly and you feel what happens here. Got it? Now, as if you were blowing cool air through a straw. You feel the difference in what's going on diaphragmatically? You understand that? If you have trouble with the you're singing with hot air versus compressed air. Makes sense? We call it hot air, cool air. It's really not about the temperature of the air as it comes out of your mouth. It's the form and function of it. Okay? Okay, so that's the motorboat sound. The reason why I put an asterisk by that is because this is part of the exercise to me. That if you're a weightlifter and you put a little weight down by your desk during the day and you're doing this to get a little extra cut in the tricep, that is the exercise for us as singers. So if you're washing dishes or putting on your makeup or doing other things, watering your flowers in your yard, that's the guy that will help you to build extra cut, vocally speaking. Next thing is called the Siren Sound. Normal bell-shaped curve. All the way up, all the way down. Should not have any clips or pops or breaks. If you got foggy stuff happening on the top side, you get greenhouse or it disappears or you got a big gap in the middle. Those are all red flags. Those are things to look at, to know about, to understand that we've got something going on. The Siren Sound is a really good litmus test. Like, how's my voice feeling today? How are we doing? I stayed up to 5 o'clock last night, had a really hard night in the studio. Wow, I can't sing half of my high end. The second half of my real estate's gone. We have something to be concerned about. Does that make sense? So this is a really good way just to kind of say, hey, how you doing today? What's going on? Okay? Okay, so I call this guy the car crank. Now, when we are singing, our larynx should not be bobbing up and down and moving all around and doing a whole bunch of junk. This exercise is really a part of kind of shaking it out. Really, like if your arm is tight and you're doing that, to go real easy, real easy, not pressurized. And here's the point. The point is to go from the bottom part of your range to the furthermost part in the shortest amount of time. Speed comes second to accuracy. You want to make sure you're doing these things, what I consider to be correct, before you do them fast. Okay? It's like fast food. It ain't food. So fast exercise is not good exercise. It's always form. It's always form before function. Got it? Real light. You know the things at the fair that guys hit with the hammer and it dings the bell if they're strong enough? It's almost like doing that with it. And really, this is just a tension release. There are other ones. There are other things that help with releasing, like the little scalenes and all the muscles here where people get really tight. I can tell you about that later, but that's just one of them, okay? This last one, I call this the East Indian chant. East Indian because we are all familiar with Eastern culture, music, because of the call to prayer and several other things about the culture of the music. The children grow up actually doing a thing that I refer to as a rivet versus in American music or Western culture we do riffs and runs, triplets and trills, okay? Doing a very small, fine motor movement. This is something that I work with my singers who are wanting to do riffs and runs to get better at fine motor. This is a fine motor part. So what we're doing here is we're starting with gross motor, big chunky style, going to more fine motor, more refined motion, being able to control what you're doing vocally for riffs and runs in the future. Does that make sense? Okay. So 1 to 2 minutes here. On this one, I usually suggest about 3 to 5 minutes. Total time, not on each one of these because we're doing it in that fashion. Got that? Okay, number 3. 3 to 5 minutes for all of those, not each one of them, but going from gross motor to fine motor. And again, this is just kind of, in brevity, an outline for you to go by. If you don't have a good exercise CD, if you don't have, other things that you're doing, I would encourage you to plug in the things that you do that work for you or that you've learned prior. Plug it into the kind of 4 areas. So that's number 1. Number 2. Number 3, good old-fashioned close your mouth humming. Okay? Depending on the client and what they're doing, what they're needing work with, what they're needing work on. A lot of times I'll tell people to work in falsetto in humming. It's real soft, real easy. Not blowing chunks out your nose, okay? This is not, if you have problems with air control, this is going to be an issue for you. So humming very, very gently, humming anything that you want to, but just very, very soft and easy. And I would tell you about 5 to 7 minutes there. It keeps you from wasting vocal energy. Hopefully also helps you set up more appropriate compressive style breathing while you're doing this. And you can do it when you're doing other things. Last, very attractive from the back. Very attractive. Guttural vowels are like French vowels. We learn mouth vowels in school, A, E, I, O, U. Guttural vowels are A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. A. Mm-hmm. So with guttural vowels, what I ask people to do is to start low in your range and just begin to kind of spiral upwards. Your voice is like a little flower, and when the sun comes up, little flowers are all bunched up in the morning. They actually open up and reach up towards the heat and light of the sun, but the roots don't come out of the ground. So what we're not looking for is for your vocal range to actually go up. Understand? We're looking for the full extension of your voice from the bottom to the top with good closure the entire way. So hopefully, when you're doing guttural vowels, you can start low in your voice and just begin to spiral up on a vowel sound. Come back down and check the dirt. Go up a little higher. Come back down and check the dirt. So each time as you're changing out the vowel sound, you can go up higher each time, come back down and making sure we're maintaining the low end. Okay? So, for example, I would start ah, 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 like that, just kind of spiraling. Now, I've got people who are rappers. They don't even know how to sing. Sliding in the right direction works. It's the same thing. You're actually accessing the voice. Ah, just moving around gently, seeking the higher notes. So this would be 5 to 7 there. We got 5 to 7 minutes here. And at the end of that, if you do the math, you've got a minimum of what we talked about on nothing but just stretching the voice out, getting prepared to perform. Does that make sense? If you have other things that you like to do, plugging that in where it's appropriate is what I would tell you to do. Any questions about that? Yes.
Is it enough to just go through the motions, or are there specific things that you should think about as you're doing? Are there 1 or 2 or 3 thoughts that you should be thinking about as you're going through all of those exercises?
Getting people to think about doing them at all is the first thing that I would tell you. So, I mean, I think it's a really great thing. I appreciate the fact that some people they'll set time aside and actually go in a room and do that, and they'll steam and really focus on performances. And I don't live in that world. I'm living in a world where I'm walking down corridors, heading to a stage, warming somebody up while they're, finishing smoking, whatever they're smoking, and having 15,000 people pull. I'm being honest with you. And so the bottom line is, yes, I think that's awesome. I think it's great for people to have, spiritual centeredness, to do all of the other kind and gentle things that in a real world that we would be able to do. That is not my world. It doesn't happen that way. So, like I said, getting these 4 bullet points in people's heads so that they go, oh, yeah, let's see, I got to sing in 30 minutes. I mean, if I can get them to do anything versus nothing, I'm ahead of the game. Does that make sense? So is it important that people would have hydrated? Understand it takes 20 minutes for a sip of water to get back up to rehydrate your vocal cords. If you're on stage and you take that sip of water, you have not really done anything for your vocal cords. Steam is your friend. Steam. Steam is your friend. It is your friend. I mean, I have my clients with little steamers in the booth, backstage, everywhere I can get them to do it. It's on the bus. It's in the hotel room. I mean, I'm selling goods for Walmart and Walgreens, but you should have a steamer. You should have a steamer. That is the only way that you can immediately hydrate your voice. So think about that. Hydrating the day before. And to the alcohol point, somebody said something about brandy's better. No, it's not. So here's the reality of that. Alcohol takes 3 direct hits on your physiology. The first thing it does is it's an anesthetizer. It puts us to sleep. That's why we get drunk, okay? Your central nervous system. It also deadens the nerve endings that would otherwise tell you, hey, you're screaming, you should shut up. You don't feel it. You feel it tomorrow, you don't feel it today. The second thing that alcohol does is it's basically an evaporative. If you rub alcohol on your hand, it's going to dry your hand out. It's a diuretic. It pulls fluids out of our bodies. Okay, we're trying to hydrate you. You're pissing it out, okay? So that's number 2. Here's the third thing, and this is what most people don't know about alcohol. According to ancient Chinese kinesiology, alcohol is, we all know that it's filtered through our liver, right? Well, your liver is the primary functional organ for your throat, for your vocal cords. That's why you've never met an old alcoholic that has a nice, clean vocal tone, okay? The bottom line is, when your body is sidetracked and alcohol is being filtered here, your vocal functioning is going down. You may feel better. You may think you've got more courage. But when you're walking out there, what you're doing is you're on the injured player list 3 times. Not just once, not just twice, but 3 times. You got it? So there is no alcohol. There is no alcohol. A, that's good for our bodies. It's contraindicated. It's a poison. It's a toxin. That's how our body perceives it. B, for your vocal functioning, really A, for your vocal functioning, you're totally being derogatory to your body, okay? One other thing, while I'm here, let's talk about smoking dope. Don't raise your hands, but, okay, if this building caught on fire right now and smoke comes billowing down the hall, are any of us going to go out there and go, why? Because smoke inhalation will kill you, okay? More people die of smoke inhalation before the fire ever gets to them. If you're going to do that, make brownies. Don't smoke anything because you are tearing up your lungs. You're tearing up everything about the mucosa lining of your vocal cords is shot. And I used to smoke Marlboro Reds in the box, okay? 20 a day. Understand it. Understand it. Know what it means to live organically now. I cannot even tell you how awesome it is for your body, okay? So there you go. Okay, so that's warming up. I'm sorry, I digressed. Cooling down. Let's talk about cooling down. How many people know how to cool down? How many people even thought about cooling down before? Thank you. Every major athlete on the planet knows that if you're going to work out, you're going to stretch out first. Why? All of that, okay? Because what you're doing is you're supplying blood and oxygen to the muscle so that you can engage it, and so hopefully it's going to be semi-prepared for what you're asking it to do, correct? Okay. Cooling down then, what does that do? Let's talk about just the body. Why? Why would an athlete who just ran a 10K lay down on the asphalt and stretch their legs back out? So they don't cramp. Why else? So it doesn't stiffen up. Okay, so basically muscles pack heat. Okay, they store blood, sort of, kind of. They pack heat. And then we have lactic acid and things that can stay a little bit swollen or a little bit inflamed, and then we try to sing tomorrow, and we try to do the flexibility test, and it doesn't work. Does that make sense? So for us, it's a matter of beginning to cool down so that we're not leaving all of that sitting there, and also so that we're kind of leaving it like we found it, and we're ready to prep tomorrow or the next gig the next day. Does that make sense? So if you think athletically about what you're doing, you'll understand the necessity to warm up and cool down a whole lot better. How are we doing on time? Am I okay? We're good? Okay, so cooling down. And this is really not rocket science, people. This is about putting things basically in reverse. So what's going to be the first thing that we're talking about doing? We're going to go back to the guttural vowels, kind of where we left it off. The voice is high and hot and it's open. So hopefully what we're going to do is start high, if we have highs left, okay? We want to have highs left when we're done, and begin just to gradually spiral down. Except this time, like the flower, what we're not looking to do is we're not looking to continue to bounce the highs. What we're doing is basically tearing it down as we go. Does that make sense? So starting high and hot and begin to close it down. Spiraling. Wow. I'm sorry for my handwriting, y'all. So guttural vowels, and we're going to do descending as opposed to ascending. His presentation was a lot cleaner than mine. Okay. So the second thing I would tell you to do is go to the humming and tear it down. So you're going to say to me, you know, okay, Miss Jan, I just finished singing. There's 2,000 people here. My manager's calling me. I got to go do the meet and greet. I got to, sign CDs and take pictures and kiss babies and say hey to my mama. I understand that. I have to do the same thing after a gig, okay? So what I'm not going to ask you to do is stand off in the corner and go, oh, excuse me. Because none of us are going to do that, okay? So if you can't do guttural vowels, I would tell you then to start with humming. It works as well, sort of, kind of, but you want to do it for a little longer. If you can't do the guttural vowels and then go to humming as a combo, I would tell you to start high and just hum lightly. Usually people are drunk, they're loud. There's not a whole lot of, people are going to hear you, pay attention to you, and you can let them talk more than you do. Sign CDs, shake hands, take pictures, do all the things that you need to do in the middle of, oh, hey, thank you very much. It's good to see you too. Who is this for? Smile. You can do all of what you need to do, cooling down, taking care of your voice while you are doing all the other business that happens right after a gig. If I'm on stage and if I'm performing as an artist, the minute that I say thank you very much, good night, before I even unplug my guitar and walk off stage, I'm already cooling down. I look at my watch, how long did I sing, and I know exactly what I have to do. Okay? No excuses. That's a good question, thank you, and I'll answer that in just a second because it does matter, okay? So, second thing here, let's see, was humming. I got ahead of myself. So humming. If you can do the combo, that's the best thing to do. If you can't, go straight to the humming and do it a little longer. Do it twice as long, I would tell you. Third thing, this is awful. I call these backward sighs. And I'm also going to put a little extra special circle around this guy because kind of like the motorboat sound or the trills, this one will also help you if you're in the booth and you have a producer who is just killing you and you need to just take a second, walk away from the microphone and kind of do that. Real soft, real gentle, kind of falling off the cliff. That's the backward sighs. But this is also, for my money, a part of cooling down. Okay? Last thing, we started with what? We started with breathing and blood flow. You end up with breathing and blood flow. So really, truly, deep breaths here when you're done actually matters. Because our bodies are like well-honed computers, and they program in what we ask them to do. Muscle memory has no difference, knowledge of right and wrong. So the things that we program in, our bodies are going to respond that way. That's why athletes' bodies stay in good shape, because the muscles fire in that direction. starting with breathing, getting all the blood flow and the heart rate and the breath moving, the oxygen moving through the body helps to prime the body, the same as breathing at the end to relax your body, telling your heart, telling your brain, telling your vocal cords, I'm done with you now, we can relax, and really, literally, deeper meditative style breathing. And if anybody in here does yoga, I will tell you that yoga is 100% fabulous for singers. It helps you work on your core and your breath control. I don't know any greater exercise than that. So you ask about time. I didn't put any times on the cool down. There's a reason for that. I would tell you that on either side of a performance, if you're doing less than about 15 to 17, you're peeing in the wind, okay? If I had a 2-song showcase to do for whoever, I'm going to probably warm up a little longer because I want my voice to be like a blowtorch when I walk out and do my 2 songs. If I did 2 songs, I know how to shake my voice out in 15 to 17, I'm good to go. Now, I'm an Olympic gold medalist when it comes to taking care of what I'm doing, and my vocal cords and my body responds like that, like a precision animal. On the back half, however, if I've got a 90-minute power out Miss Jan, no pee-pee breaks set to do, I'm going to be more conservative on the front end because I'm fixing to run a marathon. You got it? So I'm going to do a little less intensive, perhaps, more consistent than I would if I were doing a 2-song. And then on the back end, I may still be cooling my voice down 35, 40 minutes after I walk off that stage. And it has to be within the first 7 to 10 minutes of when you finish performing, singing in the booth, or doing any rehearsal. If you wait 2 hours later when you're loading the truck, God bless you. Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So it really is about the bookends, using this, and this is really not all-inclusive. It is an outline. It's an outline for you to go by, for you to have an idea of what to do.